Alba from ESO4Apps, and I want to explain you how we calculate customer lifetime value in this video for a mobile app. Also very useful for any of you with a digital product based on ads or subscriptions and purchases. Let's dive into this main metric.
LTV or lifetime value is a user projection metric. This means we need to take into account the time span that suits best for your business, but also your retention profile, how users engage with your product or your mobile app. To calculate it, we need three main inputs: the revenue generated from your users, then subtract the cost of acquiring them, and finally how users engage with your product, your retention profile. And these are the main metrics you need for a mobile app. Installs, which are the number of users at some point, the in-apps revenue or subscription, cost of acquiring them, and your retention profile. But we will be dividing into our calculation. On the one side, we will be calculating ad revenue, and on the other side, we will be calculating in-app revenue or subscription revenue, so you can have a better understanding. To define ad revenue, we need to calculate first the ad revenue per user. This is only the monthly ad revenue we allocate from advertising efforts divided into the active users on the monthly basis, the MAU metric. This way we will calculate the ad revenue per user. Easy, right? Then we need to take into account that we have a different retention profile depending on the time frame of the user. To calculate the lifetime value of the user, we need to take this into account. This means we need to take into account the retention rates at day 0, the day from the install, the day that the user acquired the product, at day 1, day 3, day 7, to start forecasting what will be the retention rate at day 28, day 60, day 90, what we call the engagement rate. Let's see this in our spreadsheet. So as mentioned in our real example, we will be calculating the ad revenue of a mobile game we have. In this case, we divided the total amount of ad revenue from our last 30 days, and we divided to the total number of active users, and this is the output. Then we have to add this output into our retention profile. You can see it this way. We have this output at day 0, the day of our install, and then we just keep adding our value depending on our retention rates. At the end, what we want to know is what LTV we have at day 60, day 90, etc. We need to sum these retentions up. This way is how we get into this $0.26, because we are adding up the retention rate at day 60. Let's see now how we calculate the rest of our LTV value and put this ad revenue in context. So now that we have our ad revenue per user, dividing our total ad revenue by our number of active users plus our retention profile, we will be adding it here at the revenue at day 60. We have three types of data sets. The data we have from our analytics tools and console, our assumptions outlined in blue, and our calculations. We need to generate all these metrics. First of all, we need to apply our campaign cost, obviously, at day 60. Then we have to assume our cost per installs. CPIs, I know it's a bit tricky because every day we have a different CPI for each ad campaign. But we need to start generating averages and calibrating them over time to adjust our metrics and our analytics system. Then another assumption, our organic virality. Virality means how much organic installs we will be having additionally if we implement this campaign. We have some kind of what we call key factor in marketing. You can use previous average from your historical data. And that's how you calculate an average of the number of total installs, total amount of new users we will be having with this campaign by dividing the investment by the CPI and multiplying by the organic virality. Next, you have your buyer rate. This is another assumption. We have to assume that the percentage of users making in-app purchases or subscription might be similar to our historical data. Again, like CPIs and organic virality, we need to calibrate all these average over time for accurate results. We also know our average revenue per paying users, which is the average amount of money that every paying user used to pay. You can find this value on your Play console and on your MMPs or any other analytics tool you might have for your application. In-app revenue at day 60 would be 10, our next calculation, which is multiplying the number of installs or users by our buyer rate and by our average revenue per paying user, following our math logic. At revenue at day 60, we just calculate it based on the total ad revenue generated divided by the number of active users from that period, plus our retention profile at day 60. We add here also the total ad revenue at day 60 because we are calculating LTV at day 60 in this case, but of course we need several time lapse where we should calculate our LTV at day 1, day 3, day 7. Next, how we calculate the total revenue is just adding our ad revenue and our in-app purchases revenue because we are talking about in a casual game free to play. This means we have ads plus in-app purchases, but it can also apply for subscription apps. And our profit and loss calculations would be just subtracting the total revenue from our initial investment. LTV at day 60 would be then the P&L result divided by our total amount of users, by our total installs at day 60. Same wise, we can calculate ROAS, which would be the percentage metric by adding our P&L plus investments and divided into our initial investment. That's how we generate our percentage allocation of ROAS at day 60. And finally, if we want to allocate our campaign efficiency, we can calculate also another metric, which is the LTV CAC ratio, which would consist of dividing our LTV by our cost of acquisition, in this case our CPA, because we are basing this marketing campaign on a CPA basis. Obviously, LTV CAC ratio should be always above 1 for profitable campaigns. In this case, we've got 1.15, which is not very high LTV CAC ratio. We need to try to increase our ad efficiency by optimizing our ad creatives, budget, bidding strategy, etc., etc. I hope this video helps you out to sort your LTV, lifetime value calculation metrics, and let us know if you have any questions in this regards. We are happy to help. Bye bye.